rakish-looking schooner that lay at anchor at the bay.
The boat's crew seemed worthy of the craft from which they depart. Never had such a set of sweating moments, lacking in Communipaw. They were outlandish in garb and demeanor.
And bareheaded by a rough, burly, bully ruffian, with firing whiskers, a copper nose, a scar across his face, and a great flounderish beaver slouched on the side of his head.
In whom, to their dismay, the quiet inhabitants were made to recognize their early best, Jan Jost van der Scamp.
The rear of this hopeful gang was brought up by old Pluto, who had lost an eye, grown grizzly-headed, and looked more like a devil than ever.
Van der Scamp renewed his acquaintance with the old burghers, much against their will, and in a manner not at all to their taste. He slapped them familiarly on the back, gave them an iron grip of the hand, and was hail fellow velvet. According to his own account, he had been all the world over, had made money by bagsful, had ships in every sea, and now meant to turn the wild goose into a country seat, where he and his comrades, all rich merchants from foreign parts, might enjoy themselves in the interval of their voyages.
Sure enough, in a little while, there was a complete metamorphosis of the wild goose from a quiet, peaceful Dutch public house. It became a most riotous and uproarious private dwelling.
A complete rendezvous for boisterous men of the seas, who came here to have what they called a blowout on dry land, and might be seen at all hours, lounging about the door,
or lolling out of the windows, swearing amongst themselves, and cracking rough jokes on every passer-by.
The house was fitted up in so strange a manner. The hammocks belonged to the walls instead of bedsteads. All kinds of furniture of foreign fashion, bamboo couches, Spanish chairs, pistols, cutlasses, and blunderbusses suspended on every peg.
Silver crucifixes on the mantelpieces, silver porringers and candlesticks on the table, contrasting oddly with the pewter and delftware of the original establishment.
And then the strange amusements of these sea monsters.
pitching Spanish dollars and silver coins, firing blunderbusses out of the window,
shooting at a mark, or at any unhappy dog, or cat, or pig, or barn-grown fowl that might happen to come within reach.
The only being who seemed to relish their rough value was old Pluto.
And yet he led but a dog's life of it, for they practiced all kinds of manual jokes upon him.
kicked him around like a football,
Shook him by his grisly mop of wool.
and never spoke to him without coupling a curse by way of adjective to his name, and consigning him to the infernal regions.
The old fellow, however, seemed to like them the better the more they cursed him.
Though his utmost expression of pleasure never amounted to more than the growl of a petty bear. Then his ears are round.
Old Pluto was the ministering spirit at these orgies of the wild goose, and such orgies as took place there. Such drinking, singing, whooping, swearing,
With an occasional interlude of quarreling and fighting.
the noisier grew the revel, the more old Pluto plied quotations, until the guests would become frantic at their merriment.
Sometimes, after a drinking bout, they sallied forth and scoured the village, to the dismay of the worthy burghers, who gathered their women within doors and wouldn't shut up the house.
Van der Scamp, however, was not to be rebuffed. He insisted on renewing acquaintance with his old neighbors and on introducing his friends,
The merchants.
to their families. Swore he was on the lookout for a wife, and meant, before he stopped, to find husbands for all of their daughters.
So nilly sociable he was.
Swaggered about their best parlours with his hat on one side of his head.
Sat on the good wife's nicely waxed mahogany table, kicking his heel against the carved and polished legs.
Kissed and tousled the young frowns.
And if they frowned and pouted, gave them a gold rosary or a sparkling cross to put them in good humor again.
Sometimes nothing can satisfy him, but he must have some of his old neighbors to dinner at the Wild Goose.
There was no refusing him.
Well, you've got the complete upper hand of the community.
And the peaceful burghers all stood nod him.
But what a time would the quiet worthy men have among these great cows, who would delight to astound them with the most extravagant gunpowder tales, embroidered with all kinds of foreign oaths.
Clink the can with them, plunge them in deep potations, fall drinking songs in their ears,
And occasionally fire pistols over their heads
or under the table.
and laugh at their faces and ask them how they like the smell of gunpowder.
Thus was the little village of Communipaw for a time like the unfortunate white possessed with devil.
Till Vanderskamp and his brother merchants would set sail on another trading voyage. The Wild Goose would be shut up. Everything would relapse into quiet, only to be disturbed by his next visitation.
The mystery of all these proceedings gradually dawned upon the tardy intellects of Communipaw. These were the times of the notorious Captain Kidd, when the American harbors were the resorts of piratical adventurers of all kinds, who, under pretext of mercantile voyages, scoured the West Indies, made plundering descents upon the Spanish main, visited even the remote Indian seas, and then came to dispose of their booty, have their rebels, and fed out new expeditions in the English colonies.
Vanderskamp had served in this hopeful school, and having risen to importance among the buccaneers, had pitched upon his native village and early home as a quiet, out of the way, unsuspected place, where he and his comrades, while anchored at New York, might have their feasts and concert their plans without molestation.
At length, the attention of the British government was drawn to these piratical enterprises, which had become so frequent and outrageous. Vigorous measures were taken to check and punish them. Several of the most noted freebooters were caught and executed. And 3 Vanderskamp's chosen comrades.
Those quietest swashbucklers of the Wild Goose.
There, hanged in chains on Gibbet Island, in full sight of their favorite resort. As to Vanderskamp himself, he and his man Pluto had disappeared, and it was hoped by the people of Communipaw that he had fallen in some foreign brawl.
Or been swung in some foreign gallows.
worthy Dutchmen once more smoked their pipes in peace, eyeing with peculiar complacency their old pests and terrors, the pirates, dangling and drying in the sun on Gibbet Island. This perfect calm was doomed at length to be ruffled. The fiery persecution of the pirates gradually subsided. Justice was satisfied with the examples that had been made, and there was no more talk of Kidd and the other heroes of Black Kidd.